Yeah. So you're one of the three gardeners involved in the Live and Die Garden, um,
Indeed.
along with Greg and Mark, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Um, and was this kind of like the Live and Die Garden was kind of like the first kind of, oh no, it wasn't the first, but it was like it kind of started as soon as you started. You kind of got into the project as soon as it began. And so can you tell us a little bit about the Live and Die Garden? The Live
Okay, well, I'll
Garden.
give you my take on the Live and Die Garden. So yeah, like Greg
Yeah.
was saying, is like a celebration of like incidental growth, so things that are already in the garden. So like yeah, your average weed or whatever, or not even your average weed, your weeds that are kind of like local to the area, and like the things that were already in there planted, I guess, like the lemon cypress. That's not like an incidental weed or anything, but it was already in the garden and it's medicinal as well. So it's a good one to keep in there, really. And then there's a couple of other things like the irises, they were already in there. I'm sure they weren't just incidental growth, but thought like, yeah, they're nice. We'll keep them in there. But I mean, like the idea is like things like mugwort is something that would just grow in anywhere in Coventry, like in the alleyways, like in cracks in the road, just any kind of road started on a motorway. Like you just see mugwort everywhere in Coventry. So it's more about celebrating those kind of plants, like the mugwort, the St. John's wort. That's another one. It just grows. It's got like medicinal uses. I mean, dandelions as well. Like keeping those kind of plants in there, but then obviously incorporating our own plants, basically. Yeah, our own medicinals, things that we think are good to use to make teas, to make
Because the site,
tinctures.
yeah,
Go on, what were you saying, sorry?
but the site that you guys built the Live and Die Garden on was it used to be like a small garden that was attached to the cathedral. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think someone was like growing vegetables in the garden
All
because
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because obviously now you see like potatoes popping up through the ground and stuff. So it's becoming more apparent that it was like someone's allotment plot basically.
Was it? Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. That's
And obviously
and
explains like
so
the raspberries and the gooseberry as well in there.
yeah, the soft fruit. That's so funny. But so and so it wasn't. But it wasn't like made for like it wasn't for public use. It was just someone's kind of
No, yeah,
little.
just tucked away in the back. I think someone in it was obviously I think it might have been someone in St. Michael's was using it. The St. Michael's building that overlooks it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really
But
interesting.
yeah.
But was it the kind of medicinal side of the garden that you're building together, was that kind of something you discussed with people at the cathedral? It was something that was kind of important to both the pod and them as well. Do you think it was, or was
Well, I
it?
mean, obviously, the original discussions for like creating the Living Die Garden, I was involved in because
Oh, right.
when I came in, it was all already set up. I mean, that's kind of why I got the job because when I came in, I was talking about, oh yeah, like one of my fortes is growing medicinal herbs, and
Yeah,
obviously I came in with like some gifts of herbal teas that I'd grown on
yeah,
my allotment and stuff. So instantly they were like, oh, okay, he's the guy for like the Live and Die Garden, but.
of course. Yeah, you're the
Mm.
poster child of the living. And yeah, and so yeah, I think it's worth kind of thinking about what you're saying about the weeds and like thinking about I think a lot of like weeds get a lot of bad press. I think also like
Mm.
even the definition of a weed, like what is a weed, is so there's a lot of like it's quite political. There's a lot packed in.
Yeah, and it's like where's the line?
Yeah,
Because I mean,
yeah,
and I feel like it differs between like different eras as well. Like the way I look at weeds compared to the way like my granddad looks at weeds. Like he's like, oh, get all the weeds off the ground, get off the weeds off the ground. But I feel like as generations go on, we all have like, and it's something I've seen very like, well, I've thought about a lot about on the allotment because I see my era, like the young era. I mean, it's only me that's really young on the allotment, but then I kind of see the middle era, people that are between like maybe 30 and 50, and then the older era. I feel like they're all got like a different kind of view on gardening. Like the older era, they're very like raised beds. No, 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 no. Sorry, they're all like grow your food in the ground, you just make rows, you put your veg in, you keep it simple, you do your beans, your potatoes, your leeks, and that's it. And then kind of that middle era, it kind of gone towards more raised beds, polytunnels, everything netted, very kind of like a more of a farming kind of way of
And also
gardening. And
high
then
tech as well, like
yeah, 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 very high tech.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel like the younger generation now is going more towards like a wild aspect. Like I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like younger people are more like, oh, what can I do to promote biodiversity? Like how can I keep the wildlife around? And I
Totally.
feel like it's the yeah, and I feel like it's the younger people that maybe have more of a an optimistic view on weeds. Because I know like I quite like weeds, you know. I don't think they're as much as a nuisance as everybody else does. Whereas guys like pull up all the weeds, pull up all the weeds. Whereas I kind of think like, well, the weeds are protecting the soil. Like if there's no weeds and you've got not many like veg in the ground, all that's going to happen is you're just going to scorch the soil. And one, all the water's going to come up. Two, I think actually having things growing in the ground is beneficial for it, especially things like dandelions that are literally pulling nutrients deep from the soil and then fixing it up. Like you talk about the three sisters with your beans and your sweet corn and your pumpkin. The whole reason about putting your bean in is because it fixes nitrogen. And a
Yeah,
lot of times when I've seen dandelions coming and growing, they pop up right next to a plant. And it's almost as if they're fixing nitrogen for the plant growing next to it. So I kind of think that weeds do have a beneficial relationship with other plants that grow.
completely. I mean, it's the same with vetch, and like you've got quite a few, yeah, that kind of fix the nitrogen as well at the top of the ground,
Mm,
and completely agree with what you're saying about also it protecting the structure of the soil. Like it's been such a dry year this year. I don't know about you guys.
mm, yeah, horribly dry.
So dry, and you can see the soil is really kind of almost like turning to dust in some bits.
Yeah, yeah.
And wherever I've left in my own garden, wherever I've left kind of the weeds kind of to protect the ground, I've maintained the moisture in the ground, and you can see it's like really quite nice and dark. And everywhere
Mm,
else where I did kind of clear it, it's been, yeah, really hard to grow anything in it.
mm,
And and I completely get what you're saying about the generation stuff. Like my neighbor in my allotment is, I really like him, but he's always with the hoe. He's just like
yeah, yeah.
like sometimes it's the hoe, it's the hoe, and
Mm,
and yeah, his plot is like it's kind of weird because I don't see beauty in bare soil. Like it kind of stresses me out.
mm.
But for
Yeah,
him,
same,
like,
exactly. Yeah, I feel the same.
yeah, but for him,
Makes me
it's
like
like
nervous. It's
the
yeah.
yeah, terra nullius, like the kind of
Yeah.
flakes. Love it,
But
I
it's
love.
that idea of like, because it's that idea of like, do weeds steal nutrients from other crops or do they help other crops?
Yeah, and I think it depends, doesn't it? And I think I have
Mm,
examples, for example, where like when plants are overcrowded with other like with weeds in quotation marks, like some sweet like I was growing some sweet peas and they got overcrowded and yeah, they actually benefited from like clearing a little bit around them, letting them kind of
mm.
air and stuff, and they need quite rich soil as well. But I also think a lot of plants like the company of other plants, and I think
Yeah,
like
yeah.
benefit from growing alongside each other. And I think to have these kind of like clear rows of plants is yeah,
Mm.
very much
Because
that.
yeah, like you were saying about plants going next to each other, like I look at up here at Food Union, obviously they made the fruit section, but there's like just single raspberries on their own.
Mm,
And I'm looking at those single raspberries and I'm like, this doesn't like growing like that. Like when you look at how a raspberry grows, he shoots up a little runner right next to him, all around him, and they get overcrowded, but they grow really well like that. And I'm looking at these single raspberry canes that have all been split up and put in on their own, and I don't think they're enjoying it. I don't think it's beneficial for how they should be growing.
totally, yeah. I think you do get quite a lot by observing how things grow, like with
Mm,
much intervention, just seeing like
yeah.
well, because they probably know best as to what they like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
So that is like really beneficial because then you can kind of yeah, exactly like you're saying, you can kind of recreate that or kind of bear that in mind when you're growing stuff.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I also like I've got a little perennial border of like herbs, and I've been like I had quite a lot of like random again like weeds in quotation marks. So like growing around my allotment that I've actually put into the border. So
Okay, nice.
like feverfew, for example, is growing, and I've put
Mm.
that in there. And like red vein sorrel, things like that. Um, Even some oxeye daisies, but I know I need to keep them under control because they might go. But I think that's another thing, though, isn't it? It's like, um, like gardening with weeds. Yeah, I think maybe like the thing that might put people off is because weeds tend to be so resilient, almost too
Mm.
resilient that like they can encroach and they can kind of like spread and maybe
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, but I think that's just part of the deal, and you kind of have to. And also, you're getting free plants. Like sometimes they're really cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how I feel anyway. I mean, I do get the when things kind of start to take over at a pace that you can't maintain, then it's a bit stressful. It's like, oh, like
Mm.
I put coltsfoot in the ground, not really knowing how a coltsfoot grows. And like now I would call that a weed. Like I grew it for its
Yeah,
medicinal properties, its long healing properties, but now I've seen it in 2 years just spread on maybe like 4 meters by 4 meters in
yeah.
just over a year, and I just it's mind blowing to be honest, like how far it spread just from one little plant,
Which is
and
kind
now
of
it's just taken all the way around my herb spiral. It's bonkers.
yeah, yeah, and kudos to it as well. It's like, well,
Mm,
that's clearly such a resilient plant that's able to do that.
mm.
But it is, yeah, it is also like
Yeah, yeah.
a bit of false foot and just look after it. You know, allotment. Um,
Hey,
but yeah, it must be interesting. Like I think it'll be really interesting having people visit the garden and then kind of
can I
seeing.
chat with Ali? It's Greg. It's Greg. Do you want to say hi to Greg?
Hey, Greg. Hello. Um, yeah, I was just thinking like, yeah, I think it would be quite interesting having people visit the garden and them being confronted with that kind of with seeing weeds or with yeah like with seeing these plants that they're so used to kind of removing, but then being kind of celebrated and accepted as part of the garden, as part of the makeup of the garden. I wonder like what kind of,
Mm,
yeah, you might get quite a bit of resistance actually, like kind of battling expectations of what a garden is, and but I think that's, yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. And yeah, what I like about weeds as well is like when you think about weeds, a lot of them have amazing, well, yeah, amazing medicinal properties, and obviously like they clearly are and you know demonstrate that humans have been kind of evolving and looking and cultivate at some point even cultivating them, um
mm,
or definitely like harvesting them with the purpose and the knowledge, this kind of like folk knowledge of like what they're capable of doing and how they're capable of benefiting our lives, which we've kind of forgotten. And I wonder,
yeah.
like, uh, yeah, historically, like when did a weed become a weed? Do you know what I mean? Like how,
Mm, mm.
yeah. Even their names, like I love like folk names for plants. I find them so interesting.
Yeah, and there are
Um,
little stories behind them as well.
yeah, it's like they're all little stories. You're exactly right. It's like even like coltsfoot you were mentioning before. Like one of the names for coltsfoot is um son before father, and
Okay,
it's
cool.
because the leaves, no, the flowers come out before the leaves. You know how you get
Yeah,
coltsfoot?
yeah, yeah. It comes up just like as little that weird asparagus looking thing, and then the flower pops up. Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, little flower, and then suddenly there's
Yeah.
like
Mm, mm. It's
yeah,
funny,
I
like
just
the start of this year when I walked up, and because yeah, there were no leaves there before, so the coltsfoot didn't actually look as invasive.
yeah,
It was just these little flowers
yeah,
that popped
yeah.
up, and I was like, oh, that's pretty, like these little dandelion looking things, like the coltsfoot, nice. And then now when I'm looking at it, it's like, whoa, the leaves, like what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Um, do you have a favorite weed?
My favorite weed. Hmm.
You don't have to have one, don't worry.
I think the weed that I find most interesting is probably the dandelion,
Mm.
just because it's like you pull it out of the ground, and you look at the root, and it's just fixed so much nitrogen, and
Yeah.
like the way they can just self seed so easily. and the fact that the whole thing is edible,
Yeah.
so many different uses, and I mean they're pretty as well in my opinion. And a lot of the idea of how, like, I've heard things before about people saying that wherever people go, the dandelions will come as well. Like
Mm.
something about places that are very like trodden by humans will always bring dandelions as well. I'm not sure what it is about that, but I find that really cool.
Yeah, I like
It's
that.
almost as if like they're there for the people, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and vice versa. Yeah, I like that. They're almost like it's hard to, yeah, to kind of uncouple the human and the dandelion companion.
Mm.
Um,
I
I
think my least favorite weed though. Do you want to know my least
oh yeah,
favorite
yeah,
weed?
okay, go for it. Yeah.
God, the mare's tail. That's my least favorite weed by
Oh,
far.
apparently you can eat it, or you can brew it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's just like, it's everywhere, and also it's like
yeah.
anything fossil. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That fact it's so old. That is impressive.
That's
Like,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
You hate it.
yeah. Damn that man's
Uh,
tail.
yeah, it's like there are some plants that it's like your brain just automatically goes to like, even if like it automatically goes to like, oh, must remove, even
Yeah,
all these cool facts. It's like mare's tail. Ugh, like
yeah.
not
But then
gonna.
you do that, and two more heads just pop up. So it's like, oh,
Yeah, where did it come from? And I love their like fruiting bodies. Have you ever seen them? Like the spore bit?
what the like what is it, like the green bit?
No, so you've got the green bit, and then occasionally you have the grey kind of mushroomy head that comes out of
Oh,
it.
really? What? I've never even seen that before. What the hell?
It reproduces. It's so
Really?
cool. It's like really freaky. It's like an alien-y thing coming out.
No way.
Yeah. And I've
Okay,
watched
I'm gonna have to leave a bit to grow so I can see it.
watch out for it. Actually, I think you won't see. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think you'll see some now. But like next year, if you pay attention around like March, April,
Hmm.
um, just they're like they make these like little gray kind of, yeah, weird, like this shape, like a
Hmm.
spear, but about like this big. Yeah, very weird. Yeah, kind of creepy, but in a cool way.
Yeah.
I love goosefoot. You know goosefoot?
Okay, I've never even heard about that.
Oh, okay. Or there's another name for it. What is it called? I think goosefoot is the American. Actually, I think you're right. I think goosefoot is the American term. They're part of the Chenopodium family. I don't know.
I'll
Yeah.
have a look
But
online now, see if we can find a picture of it. Was it goose
yeah,
foot?
goosefoot. But like, I think there's a name in the UK for it. I can't remember what it is now. Goosefoot. Let me look it up. But goosefoot.
Oh, okay. So is this the one that they call batu?
Wait,
Lamb's quarter.
lamb's quarter. Yeah, lamb's quarter.
Yeah.
Lamb's quarter, and they
So
call it.
there's some people on my allotment.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say there's some people on my allotment. They call it batu as well. They're from Pakistan. And they call it
Oh,
batu,
batu.
and they use it in their cooking and stuff. Because it's like got loads of different
Yeah.
like minerals and stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. So I think it's really like I like all the chenopodiums because chenopodiums you get like amaranths as well, quinoa,
Mm.
um, goosefoot, good King Henry. No, actually, I'm not sure. No, not good King Henry. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, loads of them are. They all have like if you look really closely at the plant, they've got these like tiny little crystals growing on them,
Yeah,
which
the
is
white stuff.
yeah, the white stuff like
Yeah,
powder.
but what is that? What is that?
But I'm not 100% sure, but I think it has to do with calcium.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure. But like I know like they're really high in like oxalate, um, which if you eat too much of, like if you consume it raw too much, you can get like kidney stones. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it kind of crystallizes in your back. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh my God, geez, that's intense.
Yeah, but like, it's fine. Like you'd have to eat quite a lot, like a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're really pretty, and I just like I in my garden I've grown magenta spreen, like giant goosefoot. So it's kind of like
Okay.
lamb's quarter, but it gets like the powder is basically hot pink. So instead of like
No way.
hot pink powder, yeah, and
That's awesome. What the hell?
it's so good. Um, but it's such an interesting family actually. I really like them as well.
Mm. I
Um,
definitely have to look more into that then because I mean it grows so easy, doesn't it? Like no matter what the
yeah,
conditions, it doesn't
I
struggle
really-
to grow.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. You're good. Ah. Yeah, it's hard pulling out things you love.
It is, isn't it? It is. It's like whenever I grow like seedlings, I always end up like putting loads of seed in like one part because I'm like, oh, let me save the compost. But then it's like, oh, they've all germinated, and it's
I
like, man,
know.
I don't want to pot up 500 of these seeds. I'm gonna have to like chuck a few away, and it is painful, isn't it?
It's so cruel. Yeah, you feel almost like a bad parent. Just,
Yeah.
why am I choosing this one over this one? Like this
Yeah.
is cruel about that. Like, yeah, it's
Mm.
yeah, kind of evil, I guess. But hey, that's gardening, Like,
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
gotta be choices. And so, like,
Mm.
how did you like? So your main kind of interest is um medicinal herbs and yeah, kind of the medicinal properties of plants. And so, like, how did you kind of get onto that? Um, was it just kind of haphazard, kind of stumbled across some plants, and or is there like a journey or?
Yeah, I mean, I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing. Like, I mean, with the medicinals, I literally remember I was in Wales, I was in my granddad's caravan, and I was going through the seed catalogue for the allotment order for next season. And I remember I was like, I'd gone through all the veg, I'd gone through all the flowers, and then at the back of the seed journal, it was like medicinal plants, and I was like, oh, medicinal plants.
Yeah.
I remember looking at all the different properties, like I said, what the plant was, it shows you what it looked like, and then it told you all the different like medicinal properties of it. And then I remember looking at the lung healing ones, and I was just like, "Whoa! Like all of these plants like can heal your lungs." I just thought that was like amazing. And then obviously I'd known like a little bit about the lemon balm before that, and like a couple other things as well, like fennel. But it wasn't until I started looking at these ones that I'd never heard of, never seen before, and I was like, "Wow!" And it was like, "How big does this grow? 10 foot." I was like, "Watch this 10 foot growing plant that can heal your lungs." I was like, "This is insane." So then obviously like I'd put a load of these things on the seed catalog, like the Colts for the Marsh Mallow, the Elecampane, School Cap, like Campanula, like all different types of like things I'd put in on this order, and then like Motherwort as well, and like just yeah grew them from seed myself. Obviously it was a 2 year journey growing them from seed as well, so it was
Yeah, yeah.
very like you'd like really developed a relationship with them, and obviously I was so excited to test like try them out, like do cool things with them. Obviously through those 2 years I was learning about like making like skin products and tinctures, and then yeah just watching them grow, like the difference between the first year and the second year, like the valerian as well, that was another one. And like I remember my valerian as well, like I sowed the seed but I didn't label the tray, and I had like a few different trays that weren't labeled, and obviously I'd never grown it before, I'd never seen it. So I was like, which one's the Valerian? Which one's the Valerian? And then like eventually like I'd managed to like figure out which one was which, like from like looking at Google images of the leaves and stuff. And yeah, just from there, when like developing that relationship by actually like practically growing them and observing them, and the hops as well. The hops was another one that like just really surprised me with its like the way it grows. I did not expect it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the difference from like the first year and the second year as well, like setting their roots and getting ready to flowering and just being these amazing plants. Like, yeah, it was
Waiting that
really nice.
yeah, that like that second year you know it's gonna flower, but you just yeah, you've been waiting all
Mm.
the time.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know what to expect either. I don't know what everything's gonna look like. I've put things in with a kind of general idea, like, oh, okay, it's gonna look like this. But
Totally.
then you know that like it never goes kind of the way that you think it's gonna go. I've never seen these plants grow to their full potential. So when I saw like plants over 10 foot, I was just like, this is amazing. Like in my
Yeah.
garden, just ended up having this entire like Jurassic area with the Elecampane and the marshmallow, with the hops growing like just ginormous. Yeah, it was so cool.
I like that. Well, yeah, I kind of like two things that you were talking about. Like, I love, yeah, growing a plant you've never grown before, and like putting the
Mm.
seeds in the soil and just trying to guess, like trying to figure out, like from the seedlings, is this actually what I
Yeah.
planted? Something like that was in my like I've definitely like nursed a weed like this whole time, thinking, oh my god, and then I realized it was like I can't remember what it was, but it was like yeah, just yeah,
Damn you, you
we're not
fooled me, you fooled me.
yeah. But I like that. I like that. There's something kind of yeah exciting about that.
Mm. sure.
And definitely I can empathize as well with the whole, like, when you've not grown a plant before and you're planning, like, how where it's gonna go in your garden, and then you just don't anticipate, like, just how tall or, like, how
Yeah, yeah.
it's gonna
Like
be.
with the Ella campaign, it was crazy because like I did not expect the leaves to be as big as they are. Like the leaves were this big,
Yeah.
this wide. Like my cats would hide under the leaves.
Yeah.
Like it was that big. It was bonkers. But that's why they call it elf duck. Now I understand like why, because they say like elves and fairies would hide under the leaves because they were so big.
Yeah. Oh, cool, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, that's so good. And yeah, it's just like, yeah, you just that element of surprise I think kind of keeps me coming back every year. Not that I need it, like I would
Mm.
back every year to grow more things and to get
Yeah, yeah,
but like yeah, I'm definitely one of those people who look through like catalogs and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
yeah,
I want to grow that.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, another cool thing, like on the same kind of subject, I remember like with the hops as well. Like the first year when the hops was growing, it was like it got so big and it had veg so much, and like it was just taking over my entire patio. My dad was like effing and blinding at me. This damn hops is scraping me up, it's cutting me, it's all over the place. And it's like, what's it even there for? What's it even there for? It's just leaves because for the longest time there was nothing on it. It was just veg, like just leaf, 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 vines, 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 just vegging up so much. And then I was like, when are these flowers gonna come? I was like, have I got the right plant? I'm like, is this hops? I'm like, I don't know, like what's happening to it. I'm looking at pictures of hops and I'm like, these aren't here. This isn't coming. And then eventually these little kind of tendril things start coming out.
yeah.
These tiny little balls with these little weird squiggles on them and like almost like a baby conker kind of thing. And I was like, is this the hops? I was like, is this the hops? And then just watching them grow and turn into those big like nugs basically. Like it was so cool. And yeah, it was very because it was just out of nowhere, just all of a sudden bang,
Yeah.
the hops fruit started coming through and then it didn't take like much longer for it to actually start coming then. But I actually contemplated cutting it down because I was thinking like this isn't hops. I don't know what I'm growing here. But
Invasive vine taking over
yeah.
everything. That's amazing. What did you make with the hops? Did you like use them or did you just kind of keep them to look
I
at them?
just I just make tea with it now. Like I want to like learn how to make beer and stuff, but obviously
Yeah.
I don't fancy spending loads
No,
of money on a distillery. I don't have the money to buy like a distillery and stuff. But
no, no, no.
yeah, I put it pretty much in all my teas now
Cool.
because I
Yeah.
mean it's bitter, but I quite like bitter
Yeah.
and it's very just like soothing and
Yeah.
relaxing and yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. I love it.
Cool. Yeah,
And I
I've
mean,
never tried it in tea. That sounds really
have you
nice.
not? Okay, I'll send you some hops then.
Cool.
Because yeah, honestly, like the amount of hops I got was just insane. Like I couldn't pick it all because there was just so much of it.
So it was
Like
worth
there
it.
was no, oh hell yeah! Like now, just a couple plants that I've got in my garden,
Yeah.
you just get thousands and thousands of hops. Like I was starting to hate the hops because they're really sticky when you pick them as well. Your hands get really sticky, and I'm picking all of these hops for like hours. I'm thinking, oh my god, this is crazy. So now I've just got this like massive box of just pure hops, like, and even after this entire year, it's only half empty, and I use the tea like every day.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I like a good productive plan. Nice. Endless supplies.
Yeah, well, apart from when it's like attacking you, because the hops does, it's like the tendrils and the way it grows, they're really abrasive. And like if you rub it the wrong way, it will full on just slice you open.
What?
It's quite bad. Yeah, you'll be bleeding for a good while.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, plant fight.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like it. I think it's cool, but
I mean,
apart from when it's
right?
yeah, yeah,
Ye-
yeah. Apart from when it like slices the top of your head and then you've got some big scar in your head for a week,
yeah,
like
blood in your eyes. Yeah, no.
yeah, literally, yeah.
The gore, allotment gore. And so you were saying at some point that perhaps the with the pod, like with the live and die garden and the allotment, you guys would try and make some tinctures and some salves and things like that.
Yeah.
When's that gonna go ahead? That sounds really exciting,
I'm not
actually.
too sure to be honest. Like we're like having meetings now and discussing it. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that maybe I think Greg was saying maybe like we're doing a walk with Mark Spencer. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
if you've heard anything about that.
yeah.
I
No,
think possibly at the end of that we might do like a tincture making session. I mean, it's not like set in stone yet, I don't think, but hopefully soon we'll start like doing the lessons and stuff.
brilliant.
Obviously, yeah, teaching people how to do it as well, and
Yeah,
showing people like the whole process of like harvesting, putting it in the jars, like pouring all the alcohol over. I mean, it's really simple when you do it,
yeah,
but it can anything like that can be a bit daunting, can't it? Because it's just stepping
totally.
into the unknown, and with like these medicinal plants, it's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah, potent stuff. But yeah, and I think also like even the kind of the journey of growing the plants and then drying them, building like a store of stuff or like a, yeah, and different kind of products and
mm, mm.
preserving those powers. I mean, that's quite nice. Yeah, I think that would be really good. And
That's like one of my dreams, like going forward in life, especially like when I have like my own place and stuff. It's just like some massive wall of just like all medicinal herbs, like all the things I'm growing and I'm harvesting and I'm drying it and I'm keeping it in all these thousands of
yeah,
jars and bags and stuff. Like that's definitely like when I'm looking into the future, that's definitely what I see.
yeah, totally. Do you like Marmite, by the way?
I've never actually eaten Marmite. I
Okay,
really love Twiglets, but
okay, well,
I've
just eat
never eaten.
Marmite because 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 the Marmite jars are actually really good for keeping like tinctures and things because it's tinted glass,
Okay.
so it keeps
Oh yeah.
right away.
It
Yeah,
stops the sunlight getting in and like
yeah.
just like disturbing everything. Yeah, okay, nice.
You got to start just ditch the Twiglet, start eating Marmite.
What do you like, Marmite?
Yeah, I love Marmite.
Is it?
No, I
Okay,
just
okay.
did for the plants.
Well, if not, I'll just send you loads of jars of Marmite. You can eat it, and then you can send a few back for me. You can keep half, and then you can send half back to me.
Okay, I guess I could do that. Take one for the team.
That's only if I don't like it, though. I'll try it tonight.
It is yeah, it's an acquired taste, but I'm sure
Mm,
you find people who love it for sure.
mm.
Um, okay, yeah, God, we're deviating now. Um, yeah, I mean, so I think that's it. I
Okay,
mean,
cool.
I could keep talking about plants for like all day, but
Mm,
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, so why don't we end with just thinking about um oh, actually, we didn't really talk about what you're growing in the garden itself, in the live and die garden.
yeah.
So maybe we can talk about like just a few plants, maybe your highlights. You can talk about your highlights in the live and die garden, and when people
Okay.
visit the live and die garden, which plants should they go and see?
Okay. Well, it's like it depends because obviously that's kind of like two different things. I'd say like it's cool that the lemon balm was just there, because the lemon balm is such a wicked medicinal, like so much use, like digestion, anxiety, like so many different uses, and obviously some mint as well. That's cool, but a mint that doesn't spread underground, I find that wicked. But then obviously from the things you grow, obviously marshmallow is literally one of my favorite plants, like full stop. So that's gonna be one of my favorites, and I just think the Ella campaign is so cool as well.
Hmm. What can you
And
you're saying marshmallow? What can you do with it
oh,
again?
nice. So marshmallow, that's so obviously you can use it to make like teas, so like a tea for digestion. Well, I mean, I'll actually tell you about what one of my things is going forward. Great, just give me a magnum. One of my things is going forward with the marshmallow because you can obviously make tea with it, and it's really good for skincare. So obviously, as you drink it as a tea, it's good for your digestion, but it actually goes through like your entire body. So it's like one of the only medicinals that if you put it on your skin, you put it in your hair, it will travel through your entire body, through your whole system. So it activates all your mucous membranes and makes your mucous membranes secrete mucus. But then it also gets your cilia working to like move the mucus through properly. And obviously it creates a layer of mucilage too in your digestive system. So if you eat like a lot of fiber, if you're like a obviously vegetarian, you probably will eat a lot of fiber, and sometimes it can almost be like sandpaper in your gut. You get like a really like bad tummy. It's like, oh my god, what's going on? You have like the marshmallow root tea, and that will lubricate all your intestines. And instead of like that fibrous sandpaper moving through your intestines, you then have that mucilaginous layer there, and that just makes everything go through smoother. So obviously you have this tea, and then my idea is you then combine the tea with other like cool medicinal plants. So things like basil. Basil's good for skin, like calendulas. So then you have that in the tea bag, and then obviously when you pour boiling water on marshmallow, it activates all the mucilaginous properties. So when you finish drinking the tea, you can then use it as like a face wipe. That's
Yeah.
like one of the things that I'm gonna start making like going forward. So like you make your tea, you use your face, and then obviously you can then compost it or whatever you want to do after that. But yeah, you can make like skin creams with it. Obviously, marshmallow water. You can just put some marshmallow in a cup or in a jar or whatever. Pour boiling water over it, and then you've got this really thick, gloopy, mucilaginous water. So you could use that to like thicken up a soup, or to like put in your porridge to make some nice thick porridge. Or obviously, what I do with it is I use like an emulsifier and a calendula oil, because obviously calendula oil is really good at skin healing, like healing scars. Put them together and use lecithin, which is an emulsifier. So that combines the marshmallow water with all of the marshmallow like properties, the skin healing, etc., etc. And then the calendula with all those skin healing properties combined together into obviously like a moisturizer then, and
Yeah.
you can use that on your skin, on your hair, and it's just it's perfect. Like
So
ever since I've been using that like combinations, everyone's like, oh, like your skin's glowing and stuff. But
that's a
yeah, like what else with the marshmallow? Um, obviously, yeah, cakes, like the ancient Egyptians, they used to use it in all their like desserts till they made like cakes and stuff. Like it's called marshmallow because it was the original marshmallow. Um, I mean, the leaves are just so cool in themselves. If you've ever felt the marshmallow leaf, it's like the most comfy cushion you've ever felt. Like it's so soft and fuzzy. It's like velvet. It's beautiful, and I'm sure there's like a lot of things you could do with that as well.
amazing. I'm gonna look out for that when I come and see the garden. Then that's quite.
Mm.
I might nick a few leaves.
Well, you can have
You
some
do
seeds if
with
you want.
flowers. Can you do like stuff with the flowers as well? You can put that in tea.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure. Like, the root is the most mucilaginous. Like, the root is
Yeah.
contains so much mucilage, it's insane.
Yeah.
Even if you just get a little drop of water on it, you can just feel how slimy it gets.
Yeah.
But the leaves definitely contain mucilage, the
Yeah.
leaves and the flowers, I assume,
Mm.
but just
Oh,
nowhere near as much as the root.
yeah. Okay, I'll definitely try and grow some next year. I had some
But if you want, I'll send some seeds with you in the pack because
yeah.
I've just sown the marshmallow and it's germinated in 2 days. So it's obviously the right time for it.
Can definitely sow it now. That'd be fine. I guess because
Yeah,
it takes 2 years to kind of.
yeah. So I'm thinking I'm so am mine. I'm gonna pot it on, let it grow a bit,
Yeah.
sort of maybe September time, or maybe not, maybe just before September. If it's big enough, I'll plan it out,
Yeah.
and then over winter he'll then set his roots, and next year, bang, you got your 10-foot marshmallows.
Amazing.
Because obviously I've just taken on like bit of a sidetrack from what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
I've just got taken on another plot here
Oh, cool.
on Sherborne Valley, so like
Yeah.
my own personal plot, and I went on there and there was two apple trees, two cherry trees, and a plum tree. And when I looked at the plot, instantly my first thought was food forest. Like I don't know if you've ever seen much about like food forests, but that
Yeah.
was my first thought. And
Yeah. Totally.
yeah, and I've always wanted to make one. So now I'm starting like a food forest project. And I feel like the marshmallow would be a wicked one to put in my food forest
Yeah.
as like a kind of a side border and then just one of those like mid-height growing plants.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a really good idea. And are you going to plant like taller trees as well for like how you have like because you got like 7 layers, is it like seven? Yeah, and
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've literally got this book. I just bought this book.
Crawford. Is it? Yeah, it's Martin Crawford, is it?
Creating a yeah, it is, yeah.
Amazing.
I just bought this, so I'm reading up on this before I start doing any major work.
Great. Oh, that's so good. You'll have to give me, yeah, we'll have to talk again because I'm quite interested in that. I've always wanted to create one, but I just haven't had that kind of space or opportunity. Um,
Mm.
but I'd love
Yeah,
to,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be posting some stuff on my Edgy Gardens Insta as well.
cool, yeah. And obviously it takes quite a long time to establish, but I think that's like quite a nice long-term project. Yeah,
Mm.
amazing. Cool. I wonder what the Allotment Association is going to think. What you
Well, I mean, I've already kind of told them about it, and they were just happy for me to take the plot on because
were they?
it was. I'll send you some pictures later. It was so bad. Like the
But,
whole thing was just 5 foot grass, and
oh,
there's loads of rubbish on there. It was just really neglected, but it's the kind of project I love. Like I love like a transformation project. And
yeah,
obviously I'm big, I'm strong, I've got a lot of stamina. Like I can do that kind of work, and it's good for me really.
yeah, yeah.
And you
It's
get
gonna
that
be
satisfaction of like, oh, this space used to look like this, and now look at it. Like that's what I love.
no, absolutely, that's good. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just it blows my mind because in Edinburgh there's such a lack of land available, so that would never happen. Like people
Hmm.
are like, there's an 11-year waiting list at the moment to get an allotment.
Really,
Yeah,
no way.
yeah. So people are
That's
like, yeah,
bonkers.
yeah. I
What the hell? I mean,
yeah.
I'm so lucky because I just said to Mick, I was like, oh, I'm interested in getting an allotment here at Sherborne Valley.
He was like, here you go.
No joke. Next week, he was like, here's this plot. Like skipped me ahead of the waiting list. Obviously, it was a lot of work, and I assume people had rejected that one.
Of
But
course.
I just saw the potential of it. I was like, this is a food forest. This is a perfect food. Mm.
Totally. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I'm kind of jealous. It
Yeah,
sounds.
next time you're down in Cobb, definitely come and have a look at
I'll give you a
it.
hand as well if you need it. That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, nice, thanks.
Cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for um telling us about the Live and Die Garden. Us telling
That's
me,
okay.
calling weird. Like,